Sada doktoricu Elmiru Akhmetovu, posebna mi je čast. Dakle, naslov njezina predavanja je Položaj žene muslimanke u Rusiji, stvarnost i mogućnosti. O ovome znamo vrlo malo i imamo rijetku prigodu o tome slušati iz prve ruke.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear audience, organizers, sisters, brothers, guests, Assalamu alaikum, and very warm greetings from Malaysia. I was born in Russia. I grew up in Russia. Can you hear me? I got first degree in Russia, but somehow I went to Malaysia and stayed there for 15 years. I am doing research on the history of Islam in Russia, especially focusing on the identity problems of Russian Muslims and also about the situation of Muslim women in Russia today. So today the topic of my speech is the status of Muslim women in Russia, reality and prospects. In my speech, I am going to focus mainly on 3 points, which are the general profile of Muslims in Russia, especially the Muslim women in Russia. Secondly, I am giving some examples of the problems which Muslim women are facing today in Russia. And thirdly, how Muslim women are trying to deal with these problems. So the first point of my speech is the general profile of Muslim women in Russia. If we talk about the Muslims in Russia, we have to keep in mind that the Muslims in Russia are not alien immigrants, but are ordinary citizens of the country, who live in their native lands for many centuries. And Islam in Russia should not be considered as a religion of post-colonial immigration or a manifestation of recent acceleration of globalization or cultural exchange. Islam spread and established itself as an official religion in this region in Russia from the period of the righteous caliphs. And ancestors of Muslims in Russia, they built great civilizations. In Volga region, for example, there was the Volga kingdom, then the Kazan Khanate, also there was the Crimean Khanate, and the Noaid Khanate, Astrakhan Khanate. They were all Islamic civilizations. They were built before Russia became imperial colonial power. Secondly, we have to keep in mind that the Muslims in Russia constitute significant number of the entire population, and they are visible in every region of Russia. There is no official report on the number of Muslims who are living in Russian Federation today, because the last census, even the census before the last one was in 2010, and it doesn't include question about religious belief of the citizens of the Russian Federation. But most estimates that the indigenous Muslims who are living in Russia is about starting from 14 to 20 million of people, which constitutes from 10 to 15% of the population. And plus, in addition, there is a significant number of Muslims, labor immigrants, who come from Central Asian countries, especially from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan. And there are 9 million. Their number is 9 million, official number, but plus there is about 5 million of illegal immigrants. According to the Mufti of Russia, Rabbi Kanetsin, 80% of these labor immigrants are Muslims by their background. So the number of Muslims who are living today in Russia is going to be a huge number. And even the Muslim and the population of Moscow, for example, If you visit Moscow, you can see the many women today in the headscarf or in the long the dresses. Like I don't want to see like the Bosnia, for example, but still they're visible in Moscow. And some people say that the Muslim population of Moscow is about 2 million, within 12 million of total Muslim population. But we have to keep in mind that the Muslims who are living in Moscow are mainly the liberal immigrants, but there is also the community of the Chechen people, and the Volga Tatars, Crimean Tatars also, and from Siberia, and other indigenous Muslims. And Muslim populations exist not only in Moscow or in other places, but they are existing in all territorial divisions of Russia. They are predominant in 7 republics of the Russian Federation. In the Volga-Urals region, in the central part of Russia, there are 2 Islam. I don't want to see the Islamic Republic, but the republics with Muslim majority, Tatarstan and Bashkortostan. I am from Tatarstan myself. I was born in Kazan. I am a Tatar, but not the Tatar that you know from the history that barbaric people, Mongolian, but in Russia, Tatar means Muslim. For many centuries, Russian people called all Muslims who were living around the Volga-Urals region by the name of Tatar. But for the native, the original name was the Bulgar. We are the Bulgar people, and the part of us, we are the Turkic people. We speak in the Turkish language, but it's slightly different from modern Turkish. But in history, we were able to understand each other. So I can read the books of the Osmanlı transcripts. I can understand very easily, or the Crimean, the old manuscripts, but it's very difficult to understand each other because there was some changes in our languages because of some circumstances, political and other circumstances. But in the Northern Caucasus, there are 5 Muslim republics. We can say them Muslim republics because overwhelming majority are Muslims. They are the Chechnya, Ingushetia, Dagestan, Kabardino-Balkari, and Karachi-Cherkessia. In Chechnya, for example, 95% of the population are the Chechen people. So it's going to be the Muslim population is overwhelming, it's very high. But in Tatarstan, for example, or in Bashkortostan, Muslims, they are the only half of the population. Others are Russians. And also there are some people who came from other countries, from another places like the Ukrainian people are living also. And many other Ugrafin people are living also in our places, like the Mari, Mardva, and other many nationalities. And Russian Muslims also very significant point that these indigenous Muslims who are living in Russia belong to more than 40 ethnic groups who are speaking in different languages. We cannot understand each other. In history, we used to speak in the old Tatar language, Turkic language, or Arabic. But today, we use Russian. Even to communicate my friend, she is from Ukraine, she is a Crimean Tatar, we use Russian language. Russian somehow began to be the languages of EU's official language of Russian Muslims today. So I can give some numbers of the Muslim nationals who are the Tatars, Siberian Tatars, Volga Tatars, Chechens, Ingush, Bashkir, Dargin, Balkar, Avar, Karachay, Lezgin, Kabardins, and many others. And also the second point I want to mention here, in order to understand this status of Muslim women today, we have to look at the history. How lived this woman in history? How people treated their women in history? What are the main peculiarities of the treatment of women in history of that particular nation? And historically in Russia, the political, social, and educational status of women was very high. It is compared to the Arab countries, for example, and throughout centuries, Muslim women played an active part in their society. They were political leaders, they were the warriors during the wars, and the last queen of the Kazan Khanate, which was the woman by the name of Suyumbike, and she was a Tatar, and she was the last queen of the Kazan Khanate. And also Muslim women were educators and teachers in poor communities. And there was the traditional obligated task of the wife of local imam to educate, to literate all young girls of the community. It was duty of the wife of local imam. And this the duty is such kind of the feeling the duty stayed until today, but it's very, how to say, it's going to be, it's not easy for the woman today to gather all Muslim population, for example, local, because not all people are willing to study today. For that reason, they are still giving some lectures to the local children and women also, and they are educators. And also in the beginning of the 20th century, there was a renaissance of Islam. I want to say some kind of revivalism. We say in Arabic it's Islam and Tajdid movement. During this movement, the Muslim women were able, it was in the beginning of the 20th century, and before October Revolution of the 1917, Muslim women were able to gather all the women scholars and activists of Russia, entire Russia, in the city of Kazan. There was a very big conference. And they were also very active in the political life, and they also attended all Russian Muslim congresses, which took place starting from 1905 until 1920s. So even the female qadis were appointed to work together with the female population of the country. And today, who are the Muslim women today, Russian Muslim women? They are educated, socially active, and integral part of the Russian society. And currently they enjoy all political, educational, social rights with other citizens of the country. And also after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Muslim women were the leaders in building of the mosques, in returning of the traditional mosques from the government, from the government to the community. They opened many newspapers, magazines in Russia, and also they founded Islamic schools, even Islamic universities. They were the main organizers in the opening Islamic universities in Russia. And in 2002, Muslim women from Tatarstan won a court case that allowed them to be photographed with the headscarf for the identification documents. So we don't have this problem of having for example, having passport with the scarf since many years already, more than 10 years. And there is also a very influential Muslim journal of the Muslimanke, Muslima in Moscow, and also some local newspapers also run by Muslim women. And during this period, especially during the last 10 years, various Muslim women associations and organizations were founded in Russia. One of them, very famous, and the eldest one, is the Muslima in the city of Kazan by Elmira. And also there is the Association of Muslim Women in Tatarstan, about which organization I am going to give some general idea today to you. And it's the organizer is the Naila Jihanshina. And also there is a very influential new organization called Ratnik in the city of Saratov. Now we are going to the second point of my presentation, and I want to give some of the examples of the challenges which Muslim women are facing today in Russia. Like in any European country, we have the problem of difficulty in upbringing of children in Islamic way of life. Maybe because of the lack of time spent together, firstly, I am pointing out the spent together because almost the overwhelming majority of Russian women in central part of Russia are working women. We are working. We are working because of the maybe economic situation in the country, and also some kind of the culture which can rooted in history, plus during the second time, because it was very big shame to sit at home for women and take care only children for us. We had to work during the Soviet Union time, and until today we feel ourselves responsible. We have to work, otherwise we will not feel good to sit just at home in Russia. So, but I am not talking about the Muslim republics of the Northern Caucasus. It's not included, because the tradition is totally different. We communicate, we work together. There are also very active Muslim women in Northern Caucasus region, in Dagestan. They have their own Islamic schools, madrasa, female madrasas for women. They have all the activities, but somehow Islam, the group in Russia now we are split into two or even into three or four, and we have to have the common ground to come together and work for the well-being of the entire female population of Russia. And also there is the absence of Islamic nursery, kindergartens and schools in general Russian cities, and even in Kazan. We have the problem of opening the Islamic kindergarten, and also even in Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, and we are very happy. I am very happy for you. You are very lucky people. You have the school here, and it's really very good for children at least to have the education during Saturday, Sunday. If they want, they can come and take this and gain this education what they want. And also there is like in any country, there is the bad influence from media, straight and non-Muslim friends, and there is also the absence of Islamic educational programs. And another point is that we have the problem of the lack of safety in Russia, especially for women who are wearing headscarf. It's very dangerous in the cities of Moscow, St. Petersburg, because of the skinheads problems, and ultra-nationalist Russians start attacking Muslims, and especially people, even not only Muslims, even from Chinese people, and it became slightly difficult now, and there were some cases of attacking Muslim women in the city of the Sarat also. And if we talk about the ethnic Russian women who converted into Islam, for them is the main problem is the losing of the emotional and financial support of their families. And also it might happen in some secular Tatar families also. On the case of immigrant girls, we have many cases of the sexual abuse. They don't feel it is very difficult for these immigrant girls to work in such places during night, and there are a lot of cases of the sexual abuses and abortions, and the leaving children in clinics and in the hospitals after giving birth. It became a very big issue now in Russia, especially in the predominantly Russian cities like St. Petersburg, Moscow, Nizhny Novgorod, and Saratov. And also there is the absence of public respect. They are considered second-class citizens in Russia, and we have the difficulties of getting jobs and some abuses. And there is the stereotype of Muslim women in Russia. It is very well established that Muslim women are uneducated, silly, or brainless. And the problem, which I want to mention today, is very sensitive, and very difficult issue. It is very difficult to solve this problem. This is a slow decline of religious freedom in Russia. By the constitution, Russia is a secular state. Its constitution guarantees equal rights to all people living in Russia of different faiths. And according to law, Islam is recognized as a traditional religion of Russia, along with Orthodox Christianity, Buddhism, and Judaism. And also the Russian politicians all the time are claiming that Russia is, to some extent, a part of the Muslim world. I am giving here the words of the then President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev. And there is no religious discrimination in Russia on official level, no government-led anti-Islamic campaigns. They don't exist in Russia. But after the 9/11, everything has changed. Russia adopted a law in June 2002, which was named on fighting extremist activity. And this affected negatively on public safety and well-being of Muslim women, in particular, and Muslims in general. And in the last several years, cases of discrimination and violation of Muslims' rights under the pretext of fighting against religious extremism or Islamic terrorism have significantly increased in Russia. And dozens of mainstream Islamic books were banned in various district courts of Russia for allegedly inciting inter-religious and inter-racial hatred and promoting exclusivity and superiority on the basis of religion. I am giving only some examples, and you can understand until what extent these bans are went in Russia. Okay, there are some names. There are hundreds. I am giving only just few names. Riyad al-Salihin, 40 hadiths of Nawawi, Mizan al-Amal of Imam Ghazali, Sir books of Ibn Hisham, Mubarak Furi, Ar-Rahiq Maktoum of the Mubarak Furi, and parts of the Risala Nur of Sayyid Nursi. There are textbooks of the universities of Russia. And in 2012 alone, more than 80 different classical and contemporary Islamic books were banned. These books are on ethics, theology, jurisprudence, and Sufism. And a number of Muslim organizations, movements, and societies like Hizb ut-Tahrir, Jamaat al-Tabligh, Nurchilar, the followers of Sayyid Nursi, and so-called Ahl Sunnah, Islamic Jamaat. I am giving the names taken from the court decisions. I mean, the court decisions are giving such names. Salafism, Wahhabism, and other movements are banned for being extremist and contradictory to the traditional Hanafi method. I am not supporting these movements. I am not against the ban of these movements. But the main problem is here that these court issues and the banning might be manipulated. And the normal Muslims who are wearing scarf, for example, they can put into prison very easily in Russia. There were cases that the Muslims, after this publishing of books, there is a case, even in your country, maybe there is a tradition that the publisher is giving these books as a gift to all Muslims in the mosque. So we have a lot of books, Islamic books, in our houses. One day, police knocks your door. He enters to your house. If he finds some banned books in your house, you are going to be put in prison for 4 years. This is a very big problem for ordinary Muslims who doesn't belong to the terrorist organizations or some radical movements of Islam. And also recently there was started a new problem of the banning school children, students, teachers from wearing headscarf. And before yesterday or yesterday, the President of Russia, Putin, also he said very negatively about scarf. He is for the banning of the Muslim women from wearing scarf in official on official level in Russia now. And such kind of the bans and other things is going to be and are the affecting well-being and the status and the safety of Muslims in Russia. And how Muslim women deal with these problems? What are the solutions for such kind of very big problems in Russia? I'm trying to show what Muslim women are doing in Russia to solve these problems by highlighting the activity of one organization, which is the Association of Muslim Women in Tatarstan, in the Republic of Tatarstan. You can see the organizer and the founder of this organization, who is the Naila Jihanshina in the picture. And this organization was established very recently in 2005 in Kazan under the initiative of the Spiritual Board of Republic of Tatarstan. And the heart of this program, of this organization, are youth students from religious as well as secular education universities. And the main fund coming from the Republic of Tatarstan, the government of Tatarstan, and also from the fund of supporting Islamic culture, sciences, and education of the Russian Federation. And this is the second part is coming from the Moscow, from the general government, and also from individual sponsors. This association, within a very short period, again, popularity among Muslims in Tatarstan, and was able to open new branches in various regions of Russia. Now they opened the umbrella organization, which is called Association of Russia's Muslim Women in Moscow in 2012. The head of the organization is again Naila Jihanshina. So this is the first organization stayed today like the one branch of the umbrella organization, which is based in Moscow today. The main goals of this organization are to activate Muslim women in social, public, and cultural lives of the country in order to strengthen morality and self-esteem, promote the status of motherhood, strengthen quality of education and upbringing of a new generation, and encourage the value of family not only among Muslim population, but among all women who are living in Russia. In order to achieve these goals, the association carries out various projects, which are, for example, the School of the Brides, which prepares young girls for future tasks, oriented on the health of women who are the future mothers. And also there is the matchmaking agency, which is called Madam, and family consultation, which is called Before the Divorce, which is the consultation is given professional and religious help to Muslim women who are having some difficulties in their family lives. And this association every week preparing a weekly TV program at local Novy channel. And the program is oriented on morality and education of new generation, women issues, and family values. And also there is the charity sector, visiting orphanages, helping adoption of an orphan child, and helping orphans after finishing schools. And they are organizing fashion shows. But this is not for it is the different approach. They're the competitions for the best traditional and Islamic designs. And they are organizing competitions for Muslim inner beauty. And they have also the program of the competition of the Hair Bala, the competition for children. And summer vacations for children and Muslim families to educate them, to give them Islamic education. And employment agencies they have, and also organizing conferences, seminars, roundtables to address the problems of the female alcoholism, drug addiction, smoking, abortion, prostitution, and other social illnesses widespread among traditional Muslim communities living in the Euro region. So these are the only few examples of the successful projects of the association. Association is very young. It runs only for 8 years. But in a such way of focusing merely on social and educational activities and the strengthening of morality, the association positively contributed to establishing the social status and well-being of Muslim women in this special case of Tatarstan. However, the problems of the political status, security of Muslim women should be taken seriously by another half of our population who are men, and they're running the official institutions, muftiyats, and other organizations. And this organization association was very successful because of the focusing mainly on the issue of women and education. Education is the most important thing for us. We can reject each other. We can say this is Wahhabi, this is Salafi, but this is not solving the problem. They will exist. We cannot just ignore them. We have to try to find some kind of dialogue with them. Just rejecting them, maybe it's going to be not the correct way, because they're going to be grown up, it's going to be more radicalized, and they're going to be more problems, firstly. And also today, after the listening to the first session, I wanted to give the example of Malaysia, how Malaysian Muslim women are contributing to their society in Malaysia. I'm living in Malaysia for 15 years now, and I did my second degree in Islamic University of Malaysia, master's degree, now finishing my PhD. And I think I know quite well Malaysian society. Malaysian women are more active than men in Malaysia. The population of the students of my university, Islamic University, are the 80% are girls, 80%. Only 20% are guys. So in the room, we don't have such kind of the secluded education in Malaysia, Islamic University. We are very active in Malaysia.